This is the best kept secret in Montana local government. Through a little-known program called Tax Increment Financing, local governments are giving away millions of your dollars, precious taxpayer money, to private corporations, while police, fire, infrastructure services, and schools are all starving for funding. How is this possible when property taxes continue to rise at an astronomical rate? For every dollar you pay in property taxes, a third of that's going to go to the schools, a third of that's going to go to the county, and a third of it is going to go to the city. When you create this tax increment financing district, whoever's the head of that, whether it's the city or the county, they now get 100 cents on the dollar for every dollar that comes into that. So they no longer have to share that cut with other local governments and local taxing jurisdictions. So it's a way for them to get more of your money and use it for things such as pet projects and corporate welfare. Once a TIF district is created, any growth that happens after that TIF district was created, 100% of that goes to whatever taxing jurisdiction created the TIF district in the first place. All the while, those local jurisdictions that I just mentioned, the city, the county, the schools, the state, are being starved of revenue. So what choice do they have but to raise property taxes for everybody else? Think of it like this. Imagine for a second, existing property tax revenue is the amount of snowfall at your favorite ski hill. There's more than enough snowfall on the hill to make it fun and skiable. Now imagine that over the years, the population grows and more skiers come to the mountain. With them, more snow, or property tax revenue, continues to fall on the mountain year after year. Times are good. This is how property taxes are supposed to work. The more people that join the community, the more revenue the city has to pay for vital infrastructure and critical public services. But imagine the leaders of our favorite public ski hill made a deal with the private resort next door. And instead of the snow staying on the public mountain and making the snowpack deeper to accommodate all the new skiers, that extra snow was plowed off year after year and deposited on the private ski runs on the mountain next door. This leaves us, the public, with the same exact amount of snow that we had in the beginning, only with way more skiers. With more skiers and not enough snow, the mountain quickly gets overwhelmed, and pretty soon you're skiing mud, grass, and rocks, while the mountain next door is swimming in fresh powder. Frustrating and unfair, to say the least. The main justification that local governments give for tax increment financing is to eliminate something called blight. Dilapidated buildings, rundown neighborhoods, inner cities, struggling rural communities in Montana. There's any number of things that are actual blight in this country. So what are some of the areas that local cities in Montana constitute as blighted? Downtown Bozeman is one area that local governments say with a straight face year after year is a blighted area. Downtown Missoula is also considered a blighted area. I think for the most part, if people were to walk downtown in any of those areas, the last thing they would think of is blight. Of course, everybody that lives in Montana wants to live in a beautiful, vibrant community. But at the end of the day, that's the job of the private sector, and that's a job that the private sector does exceedingly well, and it happens all the time without taxpayer money. Does anybody honestly think right now that we need to incentivize more people to come to Montana with taxpayer money? I think people have already discovered how beautiful Montana is on their own, and I think that businesses are willingly lining up to enter Montana. We don't need any more government subsidy to get people in the door. We don't need any more taxpayer handouts to big corporations. We're done with corporate welfare. We as Montanans can no longer afford it. Locals are being pushed out of their homes through crushing property taxes, and we need the local governments to focus on what matters, to the job that they do best. Click the link below to tell the Montana legislature it's time to end corporate welfare in Montana.